Wanted to have a key here working on dividing fractions and dividing mixed numbers. This was actually an entire page. Your homework was to do 13 through 24, but I would like to show the last 6 in case you had any questions on them. I know the last 3 are all mixed numbers and they're a little more difficult. So we went over this in class, but I also want to have this video in case she needed help with the work to get to the correct answers. I know you can see the answers here, but what's the work to get to the correct answers? I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to solve the last 6. 4/5 divided by 12/8. Instead of dividing by 12/8, we multiply by its reciprocal. So I would write 4/5 times it by 8/12. Simplify and multiply my simplify and multiply. So I need to simplify my diagonals. Dividing both by 4, I would get 1 and 3. So that's going to make those much smaller. 5 and 8 I can't simplify. So 1 times 8 on the top is 8, and 5 times 3 on the bottom is where I get the 8/15. The next problem, 3/4 divided by 1/2. Instead of dividing by 1/2, I can multiply by its reciprocal, which is 2/1. So 3/4 times 2/1. Simplify the diagonals. The 4 and the 2 can both be simplified by dividing them both by 2. This would give me 1 and 2. 3 times 1 on the top is 3, and 2 times 1 on the bottom is 2. We do not leave our answers as improper, so this is why I had you earlier on do this working on improper, changing to a mixed number. You dump and divide 3 divided by 2. So 3 divided by 2 would go in 1 whole time. That gives me 2. Subtract my remainder, goes on the top over what I'm dividing by, and that's where they get the 1 and 1/2 for number 20. Number 21 is 3/8 divided by 1/6. Instead of dividing by 1/6, we want to multiply by its reciprocal. So 3/8 times it by 6/1. You can simplify your 6 and 8 by dividing both by 2. This would leave me 3 and 4. 3 times 3 on the top is 9. 4 times 1 on the bottom is 4. This is improper, so you need to do 9 divided by 4. And 4 would go into 9 2 whole times, which gives me 8. My remainder is 1. If you remember, I circle it and I make a fraction bar. It goes on the top over what I'm dividing by. So 2 and 1/4. This is how I get that answer. 5 and 1/2 divided by 1 and 1/3. This one's tricky because they're both mixed numbers, so you have to do the check mark to both of these and change them both to improper. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11/2. This is still a division problem. All I'm doing is changing the mixed numbers to improper. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4/3. And now I have set it up so it looks like fraction divided by fraction. Now I can, instead of dividing by 4/3, I can multiply by its reciprocal. A lot of people forget to switch the second one because they're trying to change this to multiplication already. So you need to make sure you just change them to improper first. Now you're ready to multiply. So you would have 11/2. Instead of dividing by 4/3, you multiply by its reciprocal. 3/4. I can't simplify any of my diagonals, so 11 times 3 is 33, and 2 times 4 is 8. And how am I going to end up with 4 and 1/8? That's where I take 33 and divide by 8. It is improper. 8 would go in 4 whole times, which gives me 32. My remainder is 1, and that's where I get the 4 and 1/8. So same thing here. If you missed that problem because you tried to multiply by 4/3 instead of flipping it and multiplying by 3/4, you need to make sure you do these correct. So as I move this up, you need to check mark both of these. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 2 is 38/9, and it's still a division problem. I'm just changing them to improper. Let's see, 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19/6. Now I can, instead of dividing by 19/6, I need to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 6/19. So the 38/9 stays the same. Simplify your diagonals. You can actually simplify both of them. Some people don't know that 19 goes into 38, but if I divide them both by 19, this is a 1, this is a 2. Divide the 6 and 9 both by 3. This would give me a 2, this would give me a 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3. When I dump and divide, 4 divided by 3, that's where I end up with the 1 and 1/3. 1 whole time gives me 3, 1 is my remainder, and that's where I get that. The last one, 2 and 5/8 divided by 3 and 3/4, check mark both of these. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 5, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I'd have 21/8. It is still a division problem. 3 times 4 is 12. And then if I add 3, 13, 14, 15 over, what was that, a 4? So keep that. Now instead of dividing by 15/4, I need to take 21 over 8 and multiply by its reciprocal, 4 over 15. You can simplify your diagonals both directions here. Divide both by 4, this gives me 1 and 2. Divide both by 3, this gives me 5 and 7. It really does help to know your facts because this makes this very quick to do that. So I have a 2, I'm sorry, not a 2. I have a 7 times 1, which is where I get the 7, and the 2 times 5, which is where I get 10, and that's where I got my answer, 7/10.